Aloha nerds and welcome back to the Salawogs Why It's Great Gut Reaction, where I watch things and react from the gut. Gut. This is my second trailer reaction. I reacted to the Craven trailer before, and today I'm doing the new Fantastic Four First Steps trailer. Let's just get to it. Fuck it. Let's see what's going on with this trailer. I'm very excited. Let's watch. All right, here we go. The guy from Nip Tuck?
You know that look cool.
Oh my Studio Ghibli's. That looked fantastic. Gut reaction. I'm just messing with you guys. No, but seriously, I did enjoy that movie and the sequel. And I'm sorry I was not a fan of the Fan Four Stick. But yeah, okay. It's been 20 years since that teaser trailer. I'm just messing with you guys. The real trailer I'm about to watch. But I did, just for a little context, I really enjoyed that movie when it came out. It was a time when we didn't have a lot of superhero movies. I mean, we had some, but they didn't achieve what we have now in the MCU. I know a lot of people complain about the MCU, but from where I'm coming from, the MCU, even in its low points, is never as bad as it used to be. So as much as Deadpool makes, I guess rightful jokes, if the fans aren't feeling it or if people aren't feeling it, I get it. But for me, I'm like, no matter how bad the MCU seems to be, look, we had Fan Four Stick, okay? We had to put up with Thomas Jane's Punisher having almost zero action scenes because Lionsgate didn't want to fork over the cash, okay? So, that's where I'm coming from. And that being said, that's my background. Let's check out 20 years later. Still not on a year with a four in it. Fantastic Four, the first steps. And now I'm going to watch it. Okay, I was just messing with you guys, just having a little fun, just a little. All right, now without any further ado, let's watch the Fantastic Four First Steps trailer together and see what I think with my nerdy little brain. And when it comes to comic books, I'm not a real nerd. I do have some comics. I do like reading comics, but in no means am I an expert on the comic book world. I just love the movies. The movies and TV is my favorite way to absorb this stuff, and that's how I will judge it. As a filmmaker of over 17 years, does the storytelling look interesting? Does it look good? That's all I care about. So here we go. Let's watch this Fantastic Four trailer together and see what I think. And note, what am I wearing? What am I wearing? I'm wearing something that makes you feel doom. Yes, I am the Saladoom, and we will watch this trailer together.
Welcome to the Baxter Building. We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7 on the dot, no matter what.
Okay. Holy guacamole. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That was awesome. Okay. I did watch this trailer already, so this is not a fresh reaction, but this is the second time I watched it, and I just really, I'm, I'm happy. I'm happy with this trailer. I love that they decided to go back to the '60s. A little note, and I'm not saying this was my idea necessarily. Years ago, when Kevin Feige had an Instagram, or if he does have an Instagram, I'm not sure. But I remember years ago when he had an Instagram and he was posting quite frequently with Marvel, I had left a comment on his account saying that the Fantastic Four should take place in the '60s, and that their first adventures should be there, and then something happens that brings them to the present time, because their powers are so bizarre and unusual. It really doesn't fit today's time. But if you at least start them in the '60s, it gives them a little bit of context for why they are the way they are. Both the style of them, the style of their costumes, everything. It just gives them a naturalistic context for being so strange. And now I'm not saying that they took my idea. This was a liked comment, but honestly, I can't prove any of this because I at the time it was a private account I was using under a different name. Right now I'm under MJS Presents, which is really, I'll post personal stuff, but it's really just for me to share when I have new content out. But I'm just saying, I did say that years ago. It was a liked comment, so he read it, he liked it, and here it is, and they did it. I think part of the inspiration was like The Incredibles. That's definitely a throwback time period. So watching this trailer and seeing that they did that, and I'm happy. I don't even. I may have also said in the comment, I don't care if you credit me. It's just I want to see Fantastic Four done properly and done appropriately, and I feel like the only way to really do that is to acknowledge the time that they came from, because it is such a kind of a hokey, fun idea. Might as well just go back and do it the way it should be done. So that way you don't have to have any modern day hang-ups with their name or their powers or anything like that. It would be less weird, ironically, if it was another time period. And it also gives you the opportunity to do, I'm a filmmaker. I want to make these movies someday. And I'll tell you right now, the movies I want to make, Incredible Hulk, I got a story for that. If I could ever get back on the filmmaking wagon and talk to Kevin Feige, I know I got a story that I think would rock his socks off. But also, I would never touch Fantastic Four. I'm not that bold. But I love this trailer. I gotta say, I really love the look of it. I can't believe they got comic accurate looking The Thing. I can't wait for these toys to come out. Already, I can't wait for the toys. I love that their car from the '60s looks like the Fantastic car already. It also very Incredibles, like Incredibles was just a animated I guess update or sort of an animated retake on the Fantastic Four, but swapping abilities and swapping sort of the meanings and everything like that. But when it comes to this trailer, I'm like, damn, I feel like they nailed it. It reminds me of the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer a lot. I love the appearance of Galactus. I can't believe we're getting Galactus. Just the shot of the flames and the rocks flying through the air, you just know, oh, they're gonna do the Galactus story. It's not just gonna be a teaser; it's gonna be a part of the movie. Looks like we're gonna get some origin for the Fantastic Four, but it's not necessarily a full-on origin story, which I like. Like, good. Like, already with the 2005 movie, we got a whole movie committed to the origin story. So I love the notion that we can just jump in. They're already the Fantastic Four, and maybe we'll get some backstory just to fill in how they got this way, but it's not really about the origin. The origin is just a sort of backdrop to tell us about this story. So that being said, let's walk through this together and see what we see. I'm going to turn the sound off, or maybe I'll put my headphones on. Sony. I know I complained about you during the Craven review, but I still like your headphones. Na 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 na. Okay, here we go. Let's watch this together. I've got my headphones on just so I can comment without sound interference. All right. Oh. Ah. First of all, I love this. Again, it's a 60s throwback, meet them at home type of deal. And it kind of brings me back to the Scarlet, the what's it called? WandaVision kind of brings me back to that, where it makes it seem like maybe this too is something Wanda could have seen on one of her tapes or something. Or at least it comes from the time period of the old shows that Wanda would watch, which I like. I love the Marvel Studios logo. The building. And right here, you know what? I'm going to play audio. I'm going to stop anyway, so I'm just going to play the audio. Look at the thing. Look at him. That's comic accurate, the thing. The suit, I don't know if the white part is from the comics or not. And I think that's maybe Ultimates. I'm not sure. But look at him. Like, he's got the ridges. It's not, they made it more subtle in the 2005 version. And then they went a little too wild with Fan 4 Stick. Although actually, of the things of Fan 4 Stick, I'm sorry, I know that's not the title, but it just helped separate the two movies, the 2005, the Miles Teller one, and this one. At least I can say first steps to separate it. But when you look at the Fan 4 Stick film, in that one, it's really wild. He looks like he's meant to fight the Hulk, which is great. But, he just looks a little too rock-like. Again, my problem with that movie, I'm all for filmmakers getting to do creative things. And I'm all for, your dark Elseworlds version of a thing. But at the same time, I do feel like there is a responsibility to the fans not to cater to their every whim. I think that was the mistake Star Wars, the entire Star Wars post George Lucas has made. Is like, the reason we love Star Wars is because George Lucas had something to say. And you're just catering to the basics of the accidental things that George Lucas made. He was only doing things in the old movies because that's the only way you could do them back then. So these modern day shows are just catering to the sort of unintentional reactions of audience members, but it's not really storytelling. And I think that's also the wrong way to go. I think you really, at the very least, in defense of Fan 4 Stick, Josh Trank had something to say. But to that end is, fans deserve something that meets, at least meet them halfway. Try to tell the comic book the way people experienced it. And I think that's what MCU does very well. And just this image by itself it's beautiful. I really love looking at just the image of Ben Grimm with his proper ridges, with his proper dome-like skull. I don't necessarily like the voice as much. I do wish I really loved Michael Chiklis's The Thing. I think he nailed it. But this is coming from someone who only had the cartoon, so I actually still have never read a Fantastic Four comic book. I did read Civil War, which had some Fantastic Four characters in it, but I've never read a Fantastic Four comic book. So, but when it comes to just the look, I mean, I feel like I'm watching that '90s cartoon again. Except again the voice. I wish he had a bit more of a gravelly voice, but whatever. It's better that I understand him and that the performance is good, and I like that we're meeting him clearly at a time where he's a little more comfortable with himself, which is also how I met him in the cartoon, where he's already been the Thing for a while. He's used to how people look at him, and he's just kind of like, okay, this is how I am. So I like this. I love this thing with this robot.
Before we went up the first time, you couldn't turn invisible. Ben wasn't a rock. The best pilot in the world right here. Yeah. Best looking, he means.
Ugh, that is the thing. I know. I've even though I haven't read the comics, of course I've seen many documentaries, and I have flipped through them in the comic book shop a number of times. And I mean, that's the comic book thing with the tiny nose, and the big blue eyes.
Johnny never caught fire.
And ironically, there's nothing that looks different about this from the 2005 movie. I mean, yes, graphically it's a little bit better, it's a little bit cleaner, but you can see that actually the 2005 movie, one of the things it got right 100% is Johnny Storm. But I love this. This is beautiful. And Joseph Quinn, who was in Stranger Things, and I thought he was really great in Quiet Place Day One. Like him and Lupita Nyong'o. He wasn't in Marvel yet, but she was. So now it's a Marvel team up where Nakia and Fantastic Fantastic and Human Torch have been in a movie together prior to them both being in the MCU. That's fun. But I love this. This is gorgeous.
Has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Can I just say I love Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm? Like, she just looks exactly like the comic book drawings. I remember when she showed up in Mission Impossible, I thought, who is this gorgeous woman? And she looks like somebody. I can't put my finger on it, but she looks like somebody. I couldn't figure out what she was, but I was like, she needs to be in something, because she looks like someone in particular. And it was Sue Storm, man. Clearly she was always meant for this, because just look at her, like that straight comic book, cartoon, whatever you want it to be. Fantastic. And I love this rainbowy effect. It differentiates itself from the 2005 movie, and I don't even actually remember what her power looked like in Fan Four Stick. But either way, I think yes, this looks right. And again, it's the costumes, unabashedly blue. And then that was the other problem with Fan Four Stick, is like, again, the modern day hangups. Well, that's not really what it would look like. Who gives a fuck what it would really look like? This is based on a property. This is what it looked like. I would have, as much as the first Spider-Man would have still been a good movie if all he did was wear his wrestler outfit, which is basically the Ben Reilly outfit. Yeah, realistically, that's all Tobey Maguire could afford. But you know what? Who wants to see that? I want to see Tobey Maguire in the full Spider-Man outfit. Same with Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't want to watch a whole movie with him in his pajamas. That's not the comic book, and who cares how did he do it? Who cares? How does he have webs coming out of his hands? Who cares about that stuff? That's just the context for the character. Star Trek. Why are they in a spaceship? Because they're spaceship travelers. Spider-Man. Why does he have spider powers? Because his name is Spider-Man. I mean, it's like, these things they just come with it. Why does Jesus turn bread into fish? Because it's Jesus. Okay, it's just the story. That's what the story's about. You can question it all day long, but it's just a story, and you got to go along with it if you're gonna watch it. And I love that, at least as far as the look goes. And even Pedro Pascal, who they're not showing him use his stretchy powers, which is interesting. Even Pedro Pascal, who I was just a bit iffy about, because I thought, is he too old for this role, or is he just too thick? I mean, he is a kind of a, I think in the Game of Thrones days, probably a lot more looked like Mr. Fantastic. But he looks to me like a bit more of a mature Mr. Fantastic, a little bit older. But his performance is great. Like, just hearing his voice, like, he's always just had a great thing with voices across his career. And like, if you listen to him in Game of Thrones and you listen to him in Mando, you don't automatically know that that's the same actor. So hearing his voice, I'm like, he has the cadence and the power in his voice of the world's smartest man who has both the ego and humility at the same time. And I like that this version of Reed Richards is that guy, as opposed to what really feels like, I mean, I don't know if it's from the comics or not, but it feels like they're just copying Spider-Man. When in the 2005 movie, he's so insecure and got all these little hang-ups, and I'm like, I'm fine. You know, you want to give your character somewhere to go, and if that's how he was in the comics, then I can't argue with that. But it's just a little less interesting when we already have Spider-Man doing that. So I love that this is a fully realized Reed Richards who's been at it for years, who's been Mr. Fantastic for years. I think that's fantastic. And you know, I'm gonna say it, how many times I'm gonna say it. You know, maybe could be a little drinking game. Not at 8 in the morning, for the love of goodness. That. Oh, I just love this shot. I can't wait to see this shot on the big screen. You know, I am one of those people who I don't go to the theaters for the small independent movies most of the time, unless it's like horror and I'm seeing it with a friend. I go for the big budgets. I'm just that kind of guy. And by specifically, I try not to miss the superhero movies because of shots like this or the shots with the fire in the sky, and you know that means Galactus is coming, so that must mean Silver Surfer's in this. But we know this is also another dimension. That's why Silver Surfer is going to be Shala Ball, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Okay? So much of this is spot on. I will take your Shala Ball Silver Surfer. You know, I don't know if she ever became Silver Surfer in the comics. I don't know these things. But as far as this trailer goes, I'm so happy. I'm like, dude, you're nailing it visually at the very least. Ooh. And come on, look at this. Look at this shot. Look at I got Statue of Liberty from the 2000s X-Men. And this is not something I hung on to since I was a kid. I bought that, you know, in the last few years because I wanted to make these dioramas. Over here, I'm gonna have Marvel Legends MCU, and in this corner, and here I'm gonna have the Legacy figures, the original figures that came out. Which I've been slowly collecting because as a kid, you know, my family didn't have much money. I was, you know, even though my mom never made me feel bad about it, I always knew we were broke and felt bad asking for stuff. And so as I got older, you know, I would ask for less and less because I would realize, geez, what a sacrifice this is. But now I regret it because I'm like, well, it was better priced then. But also, now because of the MCU, and I've kind of decided I'm gonna have to put a cap on buying these Marvel Legends. I only have so much space in my room. That's why I'm building this diorama because I'm interested. I've always kind of been interested in doing it, but also so I can just store these freaking figures. I have so many, and display them nicely in some kind of fun way that's fun for me. But I always love those legacy figures. I always appreciated that the filmmakers tried to give us something classic, and not just classic in terms of true to the comics, but classic in terms of a movie that is something we can all love and enjoy. They really were trying their best, even if they failed. I'll never stop appreciating those early movies, the pre-Fan Four Stick, when it really was, look, I love the comics, I love the character, I have a take on the story, let me try it. But that being said, you know, again, look at where we are now. This is why I cannot be mad at the MCU and be one of those people trying to drag them down because, oh, well, this show was bad, so Marvel's dead. It's like, wow, that's dramatic. What a dramatic little baby way to act toward things. That's how I feel. Like, you're a girly man. You're a girly man. You can't handle a show not being great, and it's dead now, but you're still watching, you little girly man. You not really have conviction. I have no respect for you. I cannot have respect for a little girly man with no conviction. Go away. I know. I unsubscribe to you, you little girly man. And as a little girly man myself, I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, fucking just this image, just to see this after 20 years of Galactus being a space cloud. You know what I mean? Because I did watch the cartoons, and I saw Galactus in an epic way. That was, to me, the part of the reason I can't go to the comics is like, dude, once these things are in moving form, like, it's, what's better than that? You know what I mean? What's better than seeing them actually move and do what they do? And this image, to see it realized, and you know it's gonna look accurate. I can't wait to see what Antonio Banderas does. Dang,
As a family.
dude, and this, you know what I mean? Considering where we came from, 2005, right? This to have finally gotten past, and I really think, you know, hey, the original Spider-Man did it, you know, but everyone else, it took everyone else until Iron Man. Iron Man was the first one to really do what Spider-Man did. Say, hey, it's going to be the accurate costume. We're not messing around, okay? And it's Iron Man, something that would be cool to look at, no matter how you did it, if it was in live action. But until we got Iron Man, and I really feel like even after Iron Man, there was a lot of awkwardness, right? We got a certain level of accuracy in the MCU after Iron Man, but there was still, you know, an awkwardness where they wanted it to look cool and to look modern. You know, they wanted to be the blue steel. They all wanted to be blue steel, but they didn't want to be classic comic book blue. Since Deadpool, Marvel really kicked up how having their characters look like the comic books. Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool busted open that door because they showed how you could make it look like the comic book and still be legitimate. You know what I mean? And I think that was one of the, even though his suit was animated, that was one of the strengths of Green Lantern. It was like, holy shit, you're not shying away, but also you're making it look cool. But here we are, and they're not worried about looking cool. Like, they look kind of dorky and kind of hokey, but at the same time, that's the comic book. And also, I really love the Marvels. One of my first introductions to comic books were Watchmen and Marvels, and I think what a brilliant clash of, one is about origins and one's about sort of a sort of epilogue to superheroes. And I think, without question, Alan Moore's Watchmen is still untouchable. But Marvel's also, Alex Ross's artwork was made the comic books look real in such a beautiful way. He really has such a beautiful painterly sort of post-Renaissance comic book style. I don't exactly know how to define it because I was never that much of an art student. But when I look at this looks like the Alex Ross drawing of the Fantastic Four, where he's not afraid of showing a natural body shape inside of a goofy costume. But when you see it, and you see it with the powers, it all makes sense together, why it looks that way and why it feels that way. His art just brings it to life in such an incredible way. And so, that being said, looking at just this image by itself, like, it really hits me right here, because it takes me back to the first Spider-Man movie, where that was the first time that we actually got what was drawn in the comic books. And yes, you know, the webs were silver, but that's just for cinema. You know what I mean? You see with the Amazing Spider-Man that those black webs just bleed completely into red, because if you know cinematography, dark kind of blends with dark. It's not, you know, it's not like the camera lens is racist. It's just, that's where we are with technology. You know what I mean? And this issue goes back to the talkies, when movies started to have voices for the first time. That was a big complaint of filmmakers. Is like, we're going too quickly into this whole audio cinemascape because we haven't perfected yet what the camera can actually achieve. But but sound was the big thing, so they just moved forward. And so I feel like, luckily, I wonder if this is shot digitally, because you see how much digital can capture compared to film. Film has its limitations with those exact issues, but digital picks up a little bit more information. So I wonder if this was shot digitally. But either way, who cares? They're in the Fantastic Four blue. That's the comic book blue. It's not a dark blue to look cool for the adults, so that adults don't feel awkward about seeing a comic book movie. You know what I mean? Fucking. We have so many hang-ups. What I love about every generation is that we get over hang-ups of the previous generation. And then at the same time, we kind of learn which things the previous generation got right. Like, okay, some of the things you said got right, but a lot of stuff is just unnecessary hang-ups. And I think when it comes to comic books, it's like, look, it sells as a comic book. Why would it not sell as a movie? You know what I mean? It's just the same people who buy the comics are going to buy the movie. And I realize, I guess, comic books are struggling and the physical medium is struggling, but I think it's because, again, once you see it real, you don't want to see it any other way. It's just so amazing what we're achieving now. So I'm just grateful. Like, here we are at the end of this trailer, this great, fantastic final shot. I'm grateful that here we are with superheroes in a place where we don't have to feel shy about it anymore. I'm really looking forward to this movie. I don't know any of the filmmaker information. I'll look some of that up for the next trailer. If the trailer is, if I feel like I should react to it, I'll react to it. Or if you want me to react to it, you better tell me. You have to tell me. Okay. All right. Nerds, all the best to you. Live long and prosper. Hang loose, brother. Hawaiians, what's up? How you doing? Yeah. Thank you for watching. See you next time.